Hello, dear students. I am Dr. Shikha Pandey, Associate Professor from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So today we are going to discuss about the basics of biodiversity and biotic resource. This lecture is from Module 3 as we have completed our Module 2. So let's start this new topic from the Module 2. Module 3, that is biodiversity and biotic resource. So let's start with the basics of biodiversity. Like, what does biodiversity mean? So as we know that bio means life and diversity means variety. Biodiversity is formed by two words. First one is bio and then diversity. So bio means life and diversity means variety. So we can say that biodiversity means a wide variety of life on the earth. So what does it means? Bio means all the living organism and diversity is the variety of organism. So in total, that words refers to the variety of life on the earth. The lots of variety which is present on the earth is called as biodiversity. It is like plant, animal, all the life that is biological life that is present on the earth is called as a biodiversity. And biodiversity is the term that has been coined by Robert E. Jackinson and Thomas Lovejoy in 1980. First time they have used that word biological diversity. So biodiversity, exactly, in total, biodiversity means the variability among living organisms from all sources, including their inter alia, terrestrial, marine, other aquatic ecosystem, ecological complexes of which they are the part. This include biological diversity within species and ecosystem. Within species biodiversity, when we are talking about within species biodiversity, that is we are talking about the genetic level. When we are talking about the biodiversity on the basis of ecosystem, we are talking about the ecosystem like marine ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, forest ecosystem, and all the ecosystem. So when we are talking about the ecological complexes in which they are the part, like they are the part of the environment and they are the part of each and every component. So they are interacting there, they are living there. So they are called as biodiversity. Biodiversity means the different type of life that are existing on the earth is called as biodiversity, and they are very diverse. Actually, India has a very diverse nation, and it's a biology life is very much diverse. So that but in this slide we are talking about in total biodiversity that is present on the earth. So biological diversity means the variability among living organisms from any sources, like inter alia, like on the basis of genetic variation, terrestrial, like where they are ecosystem, marine and other aquatic ecosystem, and the ecological complexes. And the ecological complexes means what activity they are doing, which they are the part of which activity. This comes under the biological diversity within species and within ecosystem. So on the basis of ecosystem, we can say that what activity they are doing on that particular ecosystem. And on the basis of genetic level, we can say that what genetically they are different from each other. They are called as biodiversity. So biological diversity means the diversity of a species that exist on this earth is called as biodiversity. Means those any organism. Actually, our earth has an enormous amount of biological life, and they are interacting with each other in their daily life. They are called as biodiversity. Now we'll discuss about the significance and values of biodiversity. So what function they are playing, what are the values of that biodiversity related to us, what, in which basis, in which category they are related to each other. So we are going to discuss about the significance and the values of biodiversity. Biodiversity protects the fresh air, clean water and productive land. Biodiversity gives us fresh air, clean water and productive land. Biodiversity means like air, water, productive land, anything that is there comes. So they protects us by the fresh air, clean water and productive land. It is important for forestry. It has importance for forestry, fisheries and agriculture, which depend on rich water variety of various biological resources available in the earth, in the nature. So whatever they that is important, whatever that is available on the nature is comes under the biodiversity, and which depend on rich water variety for their various biological resources. Next point is that loss of biodiversity has serious and economic and social cost for any country. So if there is a loss of biodiversity that is related to the benefit of economy of a country, so there is a social cost. They are related to economically and socially also, because some ST means tribes are connected with their plant, so they are doing worship of that plant. So if there is a loss of that plant, they will hurt the in sentiments of that particular tribe community also. And some plant which are economically important plants, so if there is a loss of that plant, that country economy will be lost, so will affect the country economic. So it is biodiversity is very important for human life. We depends on plant, microorganism, earth's animal for our food, medicine, industrial products and all. So we are totally dependent on the biodiversity for our daily life, for our daily needs, for our daily useful substance, for our food, for our home, for everything. We are dependent on the biodiversity. So, and it for our food, for medicine we are taking, for daily where we are living, for whatever we are interacting, for everything, we are totally dependent on the biodiversity that is present on in this nature. So it is very important to protect our biodiversity and to use all this substance, all this life in a sustainable manner. So now comes under the levels of biodiversity. So biological diversity. Diversity means variability among the organisms that is present on the earth. So biodiversity we have categorized it in the on the basis of three level. First one is genetic level, species level and ecosystem level. So first diversity, we are going to discuss about the diversity on the basis of genes. So and next is diversity on the basis of species and diversity on the basis of ecosystem. So first one is a genetic diversity, then on the basis of species diversity, and then ecosystem diversity. Genetic diversity is nothing but the diversity among organisms on the basis of their genetic makeup. Like that, species diversity is nothing but the diversity among the species. Like three different species is there, so we call it as a species diversity. Like that, ecosystem diversity, two, three different ecosystem exist there. So they are called as ecosystem diversity. Diversity is everywhere. So diversity and variability is everywhere. That variability, that diversity is very important for the evolution of new species, for the resistance of some species, for the resistance of some new traits, for some new characteristics. For that, diversity is very important, and diversity has very importance for the existence of a species, for the survival of a species, for everything. Now comes to, we will discuss about the genetic diversity. So first one is a genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is a diversity of gene within a species. Like for a single species they are different. For a single species of duck is there, so two duck is there, but they are different on the basis of their nucleotides, on the basis of their genetic makeup. So this is called as genetic diversity. It refers to the variation of gene among the population and the individual of a same species. So if a same species there, duck species is there, but there every individual, all ducks having different genetic makeup. So that is called as genetic diversity. We are going to study diversity on the very little level to higher level. So first one is the genetic diversity. Genetic diversity means the diversity among genes of a single same species of a different individual, like that. So genetic diversity is very important for us. So what does it helps in? It's help in speciation and evolution of new species, and it is useful in adaptation to change in environmental condition. It is important for agriculture productivity and development. So like that, if one in a single population, different species is there. All species have different genetic makeup. So with different genetic makeup, that genetic diversity helps in the speciation and evolution of some new species, and that is very useful in adaptation and changed in environmental condition, and it is important for agriculture productivity and development. So genetic diversity is nothing but a diversity in and variation among species on the basis of their genetic level. So you can see that different these are the nucleotide which is present in DNA of a species. So this is the base of the DNA. You can see that A is adenine, T is thymine, C is cytosine, guanine. So all DNA is made up by these bases like A, T, T, G, C, C, C. This is so on the basis of that little base is different. So it is a very smaller species, smaller kind of thing we are studying, like genetic level of diversity. So that genetic makeup is different in different species, individual. So that diversity is called as genetic diversity. Now let's discuss the genetic diversity, what it is and what does it mean. It is the diversity is measure the variety available for the same gene within individual species, because for a single gene many varieties available within that particular species. So after some time or for their next generation they will different. So that comes due to the makeup of their gene. And genetic diversity is based on variation between genes, functional unit of hereditary information. The genetic variability is essential for the healthy breeding population of a species. So that is very much essential for a healthy breeding population of a species. For means like a species is going to be breeding, so that their genetic variability is important. And genes are the basic unit of hereditary information transmitted from one generation to another generation. And best example for genetic diversity is the all rice variety having the species Oryza sativa, but there are different varieties which differ in their shape, size, and aroma due to variation at the genetic level. So this is all about the genetic diversity we are found among the organism. It is the basic unit of hereditary information transmitted from one generation to another generation, and it is based on the variation between genes. That is all about functional unit of hereditary information. The genetic variability is essential for a healthy breeding of a population of a species. And genes is the basic unit of hereditary information that is transmitted from one generation to another generation. So for to explain all these things, we have also discussed this example. But this example is all about the rice species Oryza sativa. There are different varieties and different shape, size, and aroma due to variation at their genetic level only. Because only rice Oryza sativa is the species, but we have got a variety of rices, and all rices are different from each other. Like some is basmati rice, some is some different rice, some is long, some is short, some has different aroma. So from where they comes on the variation at their genetic level. That is called as diversity on the basis of genes, genetic diversity. Because that genetic diversity being variation among that only particular species, single species, but they have a much variety because of their genetic makeup only. So this is all about the genetic diversity. Now comes to the next example for that genetic diversity, which is diversity or genetic variability within a single species. You can see that this is a group of dogs, humans, roses. So each individual species possesses some genes which are the source of their unique feature. Everybody have their own genetic makeup, that is their special unique feature. And human being, many faces, huge variety of people faces reflect each person's genetic individuality. And the term genetic diversity also covered distinct population of a single species. Thus, like thousands of breeds of different dogs or the numerous variety of roses, that also comes under the genetic diversity. Like lots of breeds of dogs are there, lots of varieties of rose are there, but they are a single species. Rose is a single species, like that dog is a single species, but there are much variety in the dogs. That variety is on the basis of their genetic makeup, on the basis of their genetic variety. Like that for human also, we have many people are there, but all people have their different faces. So that is on the basis of their genetic diversity. Now let's discuss about the next level of diversity, some high level. After gene comes on the basis on the next level, that is species. Genetic diversity is the lowest form. Then after that comes to the species diversity. So it is a little bit higher than ecosystem diversity. So this is all about the diversity of a biological diversity. So what does species diversity says? It describes the variety in the number and abundance of the species within a region. So it what does it says? It says about the variety in a number and abundance of a species within a region to accurately determine species diversity. To determine the species diversity, variety of number and abundance of species in a single region. Lot of species is there in a jungle. If we are talking about a jungle, many animals are there. So that is a variety and abundance of species. And the number of species that live in a certain location is called as species richness. Now, many species is living in a single location, that is called that species richness. So if we measure the species richness of a forest, of a jungle, we find that 29 bird species, 50 plant species, and 10 mammal species are there. So this is an example for that species diversity, like diversity on the basis of species. So for a forest location, for a jungle, we can see that 20 bird species is there, 50 plant species is there, 10 mammal species is there. So that is the diversity on the basis of species for a particular ecosystem. And the richness of a species tells about the extent of biodiversity of a site and provide a mean for comparing different sites. And then if too much richness is there, that is all about the extent of diversity. And the species richness depends on the climatic condition. That species richness of a particular area for a particular ecosystem is all depend on the climatic condition of that particular area. So like that, if you're talking about the aquatic ecosystem, many fishes are there. Fish is there, some different horse fish is there. So there is a variety. Means they are the diversity of that particular ecosystem. So this is all about the species diversity. And species diversity refers to the number of plants and animals species present in a community or an ecosystem is called as species diversity. It varies a great deal between ecosystem. This is a great deal between an ecosystem, and it is regarded as a population within which gene flow occurs under natural condition. It is nothing but the process, gene flow from one population to another population and in a natural condition. This is the variability found within the population of a species, and the richness of a species in an ecosystem is called as species diversity. Means more species is there, more and more species is there, then that condition is called as species diversity. And all these species diversity, and this diversity is based on the climatic condition of that particular area. So this is about the species diversity. What it is, species diversity is the diversity on the basis of species and in an ecosystem. So this is called as species diversity. Diversity on the basis of species in an ecosystem, and the variability found within the population of a species is called as species diversity. And diversity species are regarded as population within which gene flows occurs under natural condition. It refers to the number of plants and animal species present in a community or an ecosystem is called as species diversity. It varies a great deal between the ecosystems. Now we'll discuss about the ecosystem diversity. So ecosystem diversity is nothing but the diversity between the ecosystem. So in an ecosystem, we are again divided the diversity on the basis of diversity is called as alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. First one is the alpha diversity. So alpha diversity means diversity within a particular area, community or ecosystem, and is measured by the counting the number of species within the ecosystem is called as alpha diversity. Diversity within a particular area, community or ecosystem, and is measured by counting the number of species within the same ecosystem. Comes to the beta diversity. Beta diversity is all about the species diversity between an ecosystem and is measured by comparing the number of species that are unique to each of the ecosystem. means those species that are unique to each type of ecosystem. So they are called as beta diversity. And now comes to the gamma diversity. It is a measure of overall diversity for a different ecosystem within a region. For different ecosystem within a region, some diversity of species is there, is called as gamma diversity. So ecosystem diversity we are studying on the three level. First one is the alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Ecosystem diversity is diversity on the basis of ecosystem. So you can see in the picture. So alpha diversity within a particular area, community, or ecosystem, and is measured by counting the number of species within the ecosystem. And second one, beta diversity, refers to the species diversity between ecosystem and is measured by comparing the number of species that are unique to each of the ecosystem. Means those species that are unique to that particular ecosystem comes under beta diversity. And now gamma diversity is the overall diversity for different ecosystem within a region. For different ecosystem for a single region is called as gamma diversity. Now we'll discuss about the biogeographical classification of India. Actually, India has a very rich biodiversity. So in the we have already discussed about the genetic diversity, species diversity, ecosystem diversity. Now comes to the biogeographical classification of India. India has a very rich biodiversity, and it is divided into 10 major regions based on the geography, climate, pattern of vegetation and community, mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibian, and other invertebrates living in that place. So on that basis, we have divided biogeographical zones of India in a 10 major regions. So first one is the Trans-Himalayan region. Now, and then after Himalayan region, then Indian desert is there. India has a very rich biodiversity. And that's why India's total map is divided into some biogeographical location. Now after that, semi-arid region, the Western Ghat is there, Deccan Plateau, that is peninsular region, Gangetic Plain, like in the that is the plain of the India. And northeastern region, this is also rich in diversity. Coastal region of India. Then Andaman and Nicobar Island. This is all about the biogeographical classification of India. Now we will discuss about this biogeographical location in details. So first one is the Trans-Himalayan region. It is total of the 5.6% of total geographical region. It is 5.6% of total geographical area. That include the high altitude, cold and arid mountains areas of Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, and North Sikkim, Lahore Spiti area of Himachal Pradesh. That comes under the Trans-Himalayan region. That is a 5.6% of total geographical region. Only 5.6%, and these are the very high altitude area like cold and mountains area of Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, North Sikkim, Lahore Spiti area of Himachal Pradesh. Next one is the Himalayan zone. Himalayan zone is the Himalayan zone of our country, and it contributes toward the 6.5% of total geographical region. It includes the highest peaks of the world. The Himalayan zone makes India one of the richest area in terms of habitat and region, because the Himalayan zone is very rich in the diversity. They have lots of flora and fauna is found in our Himalayan zone only. Now comes to the Indian desert zone. That is the desert area of India, and it is constituting 6.6% of the total geographical area. It constituting only 6.6% of the total geographical area, and it includes the Thar and Kutch desert. As we know, Thar and Kutch desert, that is the famous desert of India, and it has large expanses of grassland and supports several endangered. It has lots of endangered species of mammals like wolf, caracal, desert cats, and bird. So they are present in the Indian desert zone. Indian desert zone, the example for Indian desert zones are Thar and Kutch desert of India, and it is contributing toward the 6.6% of the total geographical area in India. So this is the largest expanse of grassland and supports some endangered species. Endangered species means those species which have risk for extinction in the coming future. So next one is the semi-arid region. Semi-arid region are constitutes only 16.6% of the total geographical area. It is nothing but a transition zone between the desert and dense forest of Western Ghat. They are comes under the semi-arid region. So it is a transition zone between the desert and dense forest of Western Ghat. Now comes to the Western Ghat. Ghats is the south, the region where we are living. It constitutes about 4.0% of the total geographical area. It constitutes 4.0% of total of 4%, and tropical evergreen regions in India, and represents of the two biodiversity hotspots is there in the Western Ghat. We will discuss about hotspot in coming slides. Next one is the Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau in India is the largest biogeographical region, which is 42% of the total geographical area. Means Deccan Plateau is the middle zone of the India, like MP and all these areas. MP areas. And now next one is the Gangetic Plain, that is the plain situated in the vicinity of Ganga, and it constitutes about the 10% total 10% of the geographical area. The Gangetic Plain is topographically homogeneous for 100 of kilometers. This is totally homogeneous, means mixed species is there. Many species are there, and this is completely homogeneous in nature. The next one is the northeastern region. That is the the northeast region of India, and it constitutes total 5.2%, and of the total geographical area. This is nothing but a transition zone between the Indo-Malayan and Indo-Chinese biogeographical region, as well as the meeting point of the Himalayan mountain and peninsular India. Then in northeast region is the meeting point of the Himalayan mountain and peninsular India also. And next is the coastal region. India is rich in coastal region also, and it constitutes 2.5% of the total biogeographical region, and it is area with sandy beaches, and it constitutes of area with sandy beaches is there in India. Mangroves is there, mud flat, coral reef. All these are very rich biodiversity, and marine angiosperm pastures make them a wealth and health zone of India. And our coastal region, it has a very rich biodiversity of the world, because we have mangroves, we have coastal mud flat, coral reef. All these are very, very highly productive ecosystem of that area, and they are endangered species also, and they are endemic species also. Endemic means that those species that are rare to that place. So, and now comes to the next is Andaman and Nicobar Island. Island is also there in India. We are rich in island also, and it constitutes 0.3% of the total geographical zone, and it is one of the 3 tropical moist evergreen zones in India. So it is the tropical moist evergreen zones in India. So this is all about the Andaman and Nicobar Island. So what we have discussed, do you know, we have discussed about the great richness of India in terms of biogeographic classification of India. And the 10 most important biogeographical classification of India is the Trans-Himalayan region, that is above Himalaya, then Himalayan region, that is Himalayan region, Indian desert zone, that is the Thar desert and Kutch desert of India, semi-arid and arid region, that is a transition zone between the dense forest and Western Ghat. Next is Western Ghat, that is southern region. Western Ghat is there, some south. And then Deccan Plateau is the largest biogeographical, making 42% of total, means highest is the Deccan Plateau. And next is the Gangetic Plain. Gangetic Plain has a very homogeneous kind of species is there. Next is the northeastern region of India, and then coastal region of India, that is sea beaches, mangrove, coral reef, mud flats, all are there. And next come to the Andaman and Nicobar Island. Andaman and Nicobar Island constitute only 0.3% of the total geographical area, and it is one of the 3 tropical moist evergreen forest zones in India. This is all about the Andaman and Nicobar. And the India, from this 10 biogeographical zone, we can get idea like that India is having a very rich biodiversity of the world. Now comes to the significance of biodiversity, that is how biodiversity is helpful for us, and it protects us with fresh water, clean water, productive land. It is important for forestry, fisheries, agriculture, and loss of biodiversity has a loss in economy and social cost. This is very important for human life. We depend on the biodiversity. Now comes under the mega biodiversity countries in the world. The India is the mega biodiversity nation also, because India is having a very rich variety of organisms. So India is one of the 17 mega biodiversity countries in the world among, because due to India has 5,000 of the world's plants as endemic. Endemic plants means those plants which are endemic to that particular area. So so it is estimated that 18% of the Indian plants are endemic. Endemic means species which are restricted only to a particular area is called as endemic species. Species that can be found only to that particular area is called as endemic species. So those species that are endemic to that area is called as endemic, and around 18% of the Indian plants are endemic in nature. Like they cannot be found in anywhere. They are the only originated to that place, and that they are only connected to that particular area. And India has a good number of endemic species. Like about 62% of total amphibians is endemic. 50% of lizards is endemic. 53% of freshwater fishes, 36% of reptile, 10% of mammals, and 33% of flowering plants are endemic to India. And the most endemic species you can find it at the Western Ghat are the site for maximum endemism. Like the Western Ghat of this India, where we are living, is a very endemic species. You will find that like 62% of amphibian, 50% of lizard, 53% of freshwater fishes, 36% reptile, 10% mammals, and 33% flowering plants are endemic to India. And Western Ghat are the site of maximum endemism. Now comes to the India is among the 17 mega biodiversity country in the world because of that two reason. First one is that it has at least 5,000 of the world plants are endemic. Means total 5,000 of world plants are endemic in nature in India. And like next one is the marine ecosystem within its boundaries. So India has their own marine ecosystem also. That's why India is coming among the 17 mega biodiversity countries. And the Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India recorded 47,000 species of plant and 89,000 species of animal. That is about 7% and 6.5% of global flora and fauna. Like that, 7% of global flora is from India and 6.5% of global fauna is from India. That data is from the Ministry of MOEF. They have recorded 47,000 species of plant and 89,000 species of animals. And among biologically rich nation, India is a stand among top 10 countries, among top 10 or 15 countries because of that reason. Because India is having very high rich species is there. First one, in case of mammals, India stands up on the position of 8 ranking, and the total number of 350 species in India is endemic. Like in case of birds, India stands on the position of 8th position, 1200 species of birds is there. Like in case of reptiles, India stands on the position of 5th position with 453 different species is there. Like that, in case of amphibia like those organisms that can survive in water on land also. So amphibian, in case of amphibian, India stands on the 15th position, and total 182 number of species in India is there. Like in case of angiosperm means the flowering plant. It stands on the rank of 15 to 20th, and total 14,500 species is there for angiosperm plants are there. So this is all about the richness of species of India among the on the global level, so that India is counted among the mega biodiversity nation. So India is the mega biodiversity nation, and India, some famous hotspot is also there in India, and the higher diversity of cultivars is mainly concentrated in the high rainfall area of Western Ghat, Eastern Ghat, Northern Himalaya, and Northeastern hills. They are very concentrated in the high rainfall area. They are the highest rainfall area, and very much diversity is found in these particular areas. First one is the Western Ghat, Eastern Ghat, Northern Himalaya, and Northern Eastern hills also. So these are the very highly highly diverse area of the India. Now we'll discuss about the hotspot of biodiversity. Hotspot means what? Hotspot biodiversity hotspot means area which which exhibit high species richness as well as high species endemism also. They are called as hotspot of biodiversity. And first time the scientists who have given that term to the to this is Dr. Norman Mayer. He introduced this term in 1988. At that time, 25 hotspots were identified, out of which 2 were in India. Later, 9 were more added, bringing a total of 34 hotspot. Total 34 hotspot is there. But first time when he has identified a hotspot in the year 1988, 25 hotspots are there. Among 34 hotspots, 3 hotspots are there in India only. In India only, we are getting 3 hotspots among 34 hotspots. First one is the Western Ghat and Sri Lanka region of India. You can see that the lower region of India. Next is the Indo-Burma region and Eastern Himalaya region. All these 3 regions are the hotspot of Indian biodiversity. Means high endemism is there, high rate of extinction is also there, high endemic species is there in that area. Many species is there. Many research is going on in this area on the to finding different type of new medicine, new products from this forest also. And very rare species is found in that hotspot of India. Next is why we call some place as a hotspot. Because of these 2 reasons. First one is the reason must meet 2 strict criteria. It contains at least 0.5% or 1500 species of vascular plant are endemic, and it has total lost about least 70% of its primary vegetation. Means high extinction and high endemism should be there. High endemism should be there. So they comes under the category of hotspot. And biologically hotspot are the area that are extremely rich in endemic species of both plants and animal. So you can see this in the India map, like orange color is the Himalayan region of that hotspot, and blue is the Indo-Burma region, and green is the Western Ghat. That 3 is the main hotspot region of the India. And 2 criteria is important to qualify any place as a hotspot. First one is that region must meet 2 strict criteria, and that criteria is it must contain at least 0.5% or 15% of total species of vascular plant as endemic, like that endemic only. Among 0.5% plant should be endemic, and it has lost at least 70% of its primary vegetation. So that criteria, by qualifying these 2 criteria, it comes under the hotspot category of hotspot. And biological hotspot are area that are extremely rich in endemic species of both plant and animal. So this is all about the hotspot, and hotspot is a very important area of any ecosystem. So why some rich species is there on the tropic level? On the tropics, they are very rich in biodiversity. So they are very rich in biodiversity because of these reasons. Like that, India is also very rich in diversity. So because of that reason, we can say that it is very rich in diversity. Tropics is rich in diversity. First one is the warm temperature and high humidity of tropical region are favorable for most of the species on the earth, because high humidity is there on the tropical region and warm temperature is there, and that 2 condition is a favorable condition for any species on the earth. And tropical area have more stable climates than temperate region. Tropical areas which are present in the tropics have more stable climate than temperate regions. So due to this stable climate, species can survive very well in this area. So warm temperature, high humidity of tropical region are favorable for most of the species on the earth. And tropical area have more stable climate than temperate regions. And tropical communities of a plant and animal are older than the temperate communities. So those plant and animals that are present on the tropical area are older than the temperate area. So thus tropical community got more time to evolve. Tropical community got more time to evolve because they are very old on that place. So they are evolving. The evolution is there in that species. Tropical community have more specialization for adoption. They have more specialization for adoption also. Tropical area receive more solar energy over the year than temperate region. They have more solar energy than temperate region. And tropical soil is the most fertile soil in the biosphere. The rich soil support a wide range of species. Like that, tropical soil are the most fertile soil in the biosphere. So all these conditions that we are discussing in this lecture are favorable for the rich biodiversity in the tropics. First one is the warm temperature and high humidity. Warm temperature and high humidity supports the growth of any species on the earth. Next one is the stable climate than temperate region. Stable climate is also important for the survival of a species in that area. And third one is the tropical communities of plant and animal. Those are very older than the temperate communities. Thus, tropical communities got more time to evolve. Tropical communities has more time to evolve on that place. And the tropical community has more specialization for adoption. They have more specialization for adoption. So adoption, and then they receive more solar energy also, and they have more fertile soil also. So what we got from this slide, that we got that the tropics have a high warm temperature, high humidity. Due to that, species can be survived. Species can have is a favorable for the species on the earth. Next one is that it has a stable climate than the temperate region. Climate is stable throughout the year, so that it is not causes any disturbance for the survival of a particular species. Next one is the plant and animal species are older than the temperate species. All the species that are present on the tropics are older than the temperate communities. And next is tropical communities got more. They have very much time for the evolution. They have very much time for the adoption. They can adopt very well than the species found on the temperate region. So they can survive very well. They can survive, evolve very well than the temperate species also. That's why they many richness of species is there on the tropic level. That's why India is the having very high richness of species, and it receives more solar energy throughout the year as compared to the temperate region, because they are the tropical region. They have plenty of solar energy, and they are the most fertile soil in the biosphere, and that richness supports a wide range of species. Due to qualifying all these terms, due to that favorable growth of our country situation on the tropics, and we have very high richness of species is there because of that favorable growth. So temperature, atmospheric condition, temperate region, and all these things is favorable for the growth of any species. Like all those countries present on the tropic have very high richness of species, but India is among one of them. India is qualifying all the criteria for mega diversity region, and Indian biogeographical zone is 10. India is divided into 10 biogeographical zone also. India has a wide variety of all species is there, so that India comes under a mega biodiversity country. Almost among 35 hotspot of the world, 3 hotspot is there in India only, due to its high endemism. Because high endemism is that they have more richness of variety of species also, and they have more threat to also. Extinction rate is also more, and endemism is also more. So that these places are called as hotspot, and 3 among 35 global hotspot, 3 is there only in India. Like that, tropical soil are the most fertile soil than the temperate region. Tropical soil have plenty of solar energy to evolve at that place, and they have specialization for the adoption also. and they have tropical area have a stable climate than the temperate region, and they have a high humidity and warm temperature. That will be a very favorable condition for the growth of any species. That's why India is among the mega biodiversity nation, and India is having a very rich biodiversity of the world. And India's biogeographical zone is very dense. India has a population is very dense, and the species richness is very much high in India. So this is all about the biodiversity, basics of the biodiversity. In the coming lecture, we will discuss about the values of biodiversity, and it's a conservation of biodiversity is in situ conservation and in ex situ conservation. Why this conservation is necessary for the biodiversity, and it is important for the growth of any country, and we are totally dependent on the biodiversity for our daily life. So it's a consumptive value and use for the every organism. So we are going to discuss all this topic in the next lecture. For this, that's all for that lecture. Okay, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.